Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Brief. Today, we are very fortunate to have Sherry Chapman with us. Hello, Sherry.
Hello.
So Sherry is the VP of Marketing at Fortera, and we're very lucky to have her with us today. Sherry, why don't you get us started by telling us a bit about your background and what led you to where you are now?
Oh, yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Chris, and thanks for having me on. I'll say I've been a marketer my whole career. Started a college communications major and have pretty much stuck with it. I definitely got my, what do they say, 10,000 hours in, plus some. Mostly been in the consumer electronics industry with hardware products, launching those into different consumer and business segments throughout my career. I'm very fortunate to be able to travel the globe with that, especially through Asia, which really broadens your horizon, working with different markets and manufacturing and the way those things are executed. So very, very blessed to have a long career in marketing, and really, I think, what is very kind of evident now, especially as you are, in later stages of your career, and you've had a lot of experience in one specific, type of skill set, you are. You're able to really synthesize and pull from a vast knowledge of information and things that you've done, and your toolbox is quite large. And so that leading up to where I am today, and was just very fortunate to answer, was while researching for possible kind of career transitions, so out of consumer electronics, where are some other areas to go, and came across Fortera, and they had an opening actually in the product marketing group, and applied, went through the process. And I think what was very interested in, which was a parallel between launching a new technology hardware product with Fortera, being a startup and having a new technology, a new product essentially in the concrete and cement industry. There was a lot of parallels. So there's a lot that I could pull from that consumer electronics experience that I had in that vast again, toolbox that you can pull from. And I one quick just shout out to folks who want to switch careers potentially, or switch markets. Go for it, because a lot of what especially in marketing, can be applied to different segments, different industries, and they really will value that cross functional, that different way of thinking, which is really important, to help companies differentiate in sometimes a very crowded market. And especially if you're coming from a different industry, you may have some knowledge and some views that folks who have been in that same industry wouldn't have come up with. So it's I think it's been helpful with my journey so far at Fortera.
Yeah, I love that. And some of the brands you've worked with, I mean, very well known, Magellan GPS, Corel, Westinghouse, Duracell. Did I get any of those wrong? Or there,
No, that's so far so good. Sharp.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sharp.
that's
Yeah.
working
And
with brands it's always important. I think to work with brands. They always seem to have at least a couple extra dollars to do some fun things with.
right, right. Well, and here you are now, helping a company that most people don't even know the category exists, right? You're probably creating the category. It's low CO2 cement, right? So tell us what that is, first of all, and why we need it.
Yeah, love to. So to kind of layer up from a macro position, uh, cement cement is the glue in concrete. Um, we'll say cement/concrete is second only to water as the most consumed substance on Earth.
Wow.
So, in order to get concrete, which is obviously everywhere, you need cement. Now, unfortunately, the current process in producing cement contributes to about 8% of our global greenhouse gas emissions. So, what the team at Fortera has done, which they're just a room full of brilliant business folks and scientists, have come up with a way to mineralize industrial CO2. So we work within the cement and concrete ecosystem. We work directly with the cement producers. We bolt our process onto to their facility. We take their industrial CO2 that usually gets emitted when they're producing cement. We mineralize that and we create a new type of cement we call React, which we're referring to as our low CO2 cement product. So it really the products. One of the main feedstocks is industrial CO2. So in a sense, we are taking that CO2 that would normally be emitted, and we're using it as the actual product of our React cement.
That's fantastic. I always love it when a problem is solved with a really creative solution that not only solves the problem but creates an opportunity, and that's what it does. Who are you? Talk a little bit from a marketing perspective. Who are your buyers, and who you're marketing to?
That's a great question. So our process, we work and, part of our one of our thesis for our go-to-market strategy is working with cement producers. So that's where we would actually put cement and lime producers. That's where we would actually put our recarb plant, which is our recarb process that we've developed. So we actually talk to them, but then additionally, down the value chain. So contractors, general contractors, construction folks, architects, civil engineers, that whole, we call it the value chain, the construction value chain, they're also very interesting because they're the ones who are driving the demand. They're the ones who are asking for solutions that are low carbon, that are sustainable. A huge business now in the space, or we call them hyperscalers, are all the data centers being built, and all of those folks are looking for ways to really create a sustainable story around the development of these buildings. So it really, this space, it hits every part of the construction ecosystem, and so we're really excited to be a part of it, to be a part of the conversation. And I think Forterra is really set up to enter this space in a meaningful way, and it will be very significant. And we're a very, very mission-driven company. Our mission, it's huge letters on the back of our wall, paving the way to CO2 cement, low to zero CO2 cement. And our goal is to, propagate as many of our recarb plants, across the globe to really make a dent in that 8% CO2 emission. And why we think, and why I think we will be successful, is because not our the tech is amazing, and what the scientists and what the folks have done here is amazing, but also on the business side, this what we can do with our recar plants, it can scale. It can scale at a profitable rate. And we're not charging what they call in the industry a green premium for our product. It's the same pricing, same specs, works the same or sometimes even better than currently the Portland cement. They call it the OPC, which is the incumbent kind of cement product out there now.
Got it. Um, so you're not the reason. What's the reason for not pricing as a green solution? Because I, in my weak marketing mind, I was imagining that a lot of companies have, carbon offsets or sustainability, agenda, or impact agenda. Does it not align with that, or is that less the focus these days given the political environment? What's kind of driving that?
Well, again, it really is driven from our CEO. Because we're a mission-driven company, and the only way we'll be able to get as many of these recarb plants out there to make our React low to a zero CO2 cement is by scale. It's all about scale. And currently, cement is about 130, $150 a ton.
Wow.
So, the actual, the infrastructure, the pricing model, it won't scale. People, they just won't necessarily absorb 500, dollars a ton for a green cement solution. Now, there are some niche applications where there maybe potentially will be some, pricing differentiators, but the solution, in order to make a dent in that 8% greenhouse gas emission and to really change the industry,
Mm,
we've got to be on price parity with what currently is happening. So it's
yeah,
just about scale. And what I'll say about, Ryan Gilliam, our CEO, he really keeps us focused on the mission and keeps us focused on um, will this scale, and really adapting our process and our recarb plants to ensure that it it will work within the industry, because the industry is not going to, make huge changes for a new technology to come in.
right,
You've got to really understand every single layer and every single touch point that the cement is going to go through. And we have to adapt to them, because the infrastructure that's already been built in the construction, cement and concrete construction world is there. This billions and billions and trillions of dollars, and they're not going to change the way they do their business for a startup.
right.
So we've got to create our solution within their framework and in their pricing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Got it. Yeah, when I was imagining green pricing, I was imagining some market proposition that was positive more than just the context of a value based environmental mission. So I now I understand it better. That thanks for clarifying that. Um, and so as you ramp up, what are you experiencing from a lead time from a lead to sale? What's the sales cycle for this given, because you said it, right? They're probably struggling to keep up with their current infrastructure, let alone stopping for a second to think, "Is there something else I could do?"
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So we've got our first small commercial scale plant in Redding, California. It's a, takes it'll produce about 15,000 tons a year is the capacity, and so we are actively doing projects, and to understand the and this was a big learning curve for me, is understanding kind of construction projects. You once a project is thought of and you're potentially spec'd in, it could be months to a year before your product is actually utilized. And so for us, making sure that we've got the product available for our partners when it's ready is really important for us. So, imagine inventory management as well. So how this works in this industry is it's a lot of what we did last year, and then, what is the percent increase we think? Because when folks need this, there's not necessarily that I'm understanding, an even cadence.
yeah,
Again, the cement and concrete industry, they've been around for a long, long time, and they've got this stuff down. But as far as our product in our warehouses, we are, it's important for us to get into as many projects as possible to kind of prove that our product works, and that we are comparable to the incumbent product. Because it's very important. As you can imagine, this is a risk-averse industry. These, cement and concrete, they're low-bearing applications. We're making bridges, we're making buildings. So it's heavily regulated. We have to adhere to all of the ASTM standards, which we do. Our VP of product, Craig Hargis, he is on all of the boards, works to make sure that our product hits all the standards necessary. So we are working within the framework of the industry to ensure that our product is the next cement out there for the world. Not just a low CO2 cement or a green cement, which is important, but a cement. a cement option for the industry.
Got it. So, in marketing, we often include in certain touch points the reasons to believe, the RTBs or whatever you want to call them, and the data points that substantiate that. And I'd read that in your one of the things you think about is that you're very focused on trust building as part of your approach to marketing, which totally makes sense, right? Y you know, Products are emotionally selected, or, it's emotional decision before it's a rational decision. That's just how the senses work as humans. We take analog information, and our brain then rationalizes it. Talk to us a little bit about what's the emotional side of the brand and business and what's the rational side?
Uh, yeah, so yeah, it's a great question. The emotional side obviously is through the value chain, and folks who I call them climate conscious projects or sustainable projects, folks that really are looking to create an ecosystem and advance that ecosystem of materials that can be used
Mhm.
to really help bring down that they call them the hard to abate sector, which are, cement, concrete production, steel, a lot of the manufacturing. So those folks who really, from an emotional standpoint, will seek us out and really want to utilize and engage. And I think, and that's really the really important part. And what we have to do is, as a startup, and someone relatively new in the sector, is that we have to create those building blocks. So they believe that this can happen and this will work. And that's all by testing. That's by making sure we're having third party validation. A big piece of what we do, and something that we are constantly preaching about is, we don't tell, we show. We have a lot of things, exciting things to announce and to yell at the top of the mountain. But until the data is in, until it's third party validated, we don't talk about it. And that's was probably really a tough piece for me coming from consumer electronics, because I mean, you're constantly shouting, you're constantly, talking about the next thing, the next great, spec that you have. But for us here, in order to gain that trust in the industry, we have to make sure we are showing a lot more than telling. And that's what I believe, and the whole team believes, really sets up the foundation of trust for the market.
So is this a truly, white space, or are you in essence creating a category? Or are you redefining an existing category, and do you have competitors?
So there's a handful of folks that I think you would call green cement
Mhm.
players. I would say that we're probably in a good position now, just because of some business factors that we could spend a whole other podcast on. But I think we all are creating the business, the category. And one thing that we have to recognize is that Fortera is not going to solve this 8% greenhouse gas emission on our own.
Right.
There's no way. So we need everybody to succeed. But yes, I believe we are creating a category for within the green cement category itself, kind of our lane, because there's a lot of ways to tackle this issue. And um, to your second question, there's not a lot of competitors. That, again, we've got incredible IP, so we really don't have competition as far as our process goes. And so
Mm.
when we talk about, how we promote, it's a lot of it is promoting what's great about our process and why we think our process is so good. Other green cement startups will have different types of processes,
Yeah.
which again, everybody needs to succeed in order for us to really tackle this. And all of the current cement producers, all of the majors, they all have green cement line of products as well. So they're tackling this as well. So there's a lot of different folks in the cement and concrete industry tackling this, and we're all doing it in different ways. And we're all hopefully trying to really, obviously, validate the lane that we're swimming in.
Got it. Got it. In reading up on you, I ran across that you've said that restraint and transparency beat traditional flashier tactics in climate tech. Um, can you share a moment where you deliberately chose something less sexy than going with the latest shiny object?
Um, Well, I say that because again, this industry, in other industries, if you're kind of in CPG or even consumer electronics, the marketer is really kind of in a different. The expertise of the marketer is really leaned on more in like CPG or
Yeah.
more on consumer facing businesses and even in some B2B. But in this industry, at events, I'm rarely called upon to ask my opinion. It's the scientists. I mean,
Yeah.
when I tell you we have just incredibly smart people here who are kind and generous with their knowledge, and they're the heroes. They're the folks who you want to hear from. And that's who the industry wants to hear from. And also the folks who we have working at Fortera who are from the incumbent industry, who are from the cement, who run cement plants, who've worked on, construction sites. Folks want to hear from them because, again, this is a very risk averse industry. They don't want fluff. They don't, what you hear, what you think. They don't want flash. They don't want spin. They want to know, they want to know the real. And so, those are the folks who are kind of the heroes of the organization. I almost sit in this seat as a reporter. I report because we've got so much amazing things to do and amazing things to say. What this team is doing is it's historical, and so I'm really reporting on a daily basis all of the amazing things that are coming out of this organization.
Yeah. What if anything has surprised you most about your experience so far in building this program and supporting its growth?
Um, well, I'll tell you, it's the probably I'd been a lot of my career, obviously, in consumer electronics. So I worked a lot with manufacturing and engineers. What I hadn't worked with is the scientific community, and scientists and engineers and, PhDs in kind of the chemical engineering space, and that has been a thrill. These folks are amazing, and again, it's when you are as talented as folks are in a certain industry in a certain segment, it is amazing to watch. And I always say I kind of manifested working this job because I really wanted to work with brilliant minds,
Mhm.
because they're the way they look at the world, and I mean, they want to solve really important problems. They ask really, really hard questions, and I'm blessed every day that I get to just be in their sunlight, that I get to, stand amongst them and work side by side with them because they're doing the really, really, really hard stuff. And it's been a thrill. It's really been a thrill to be able to help to tackle such a daunting problem, but really feel energized that we're going to do this. We're going to help solve this.
In reading up on the industry a bit, I stumbled on a term that I'd not heard before, so I think it is probably specific to your industry is first of a kind project.
Mhm.
Um, and I understand that there's a particular challenge in inviting companies and municipalities into first of a kind projects. Tell us a little bit about that and what's that look like?
Oh, yeah, that's something, that, yeah, I had to learn as well. So, yeah, they call it folk, first of a kind, and something that we're also talking a lot about is that there's actually there's 2 stages to first of a kind. The first one, and again, it's this valley that you'll take, and what we feel as though we're through the first of a kind, which is kind of proving out the technology, which we have. Our projects are in pours. We've got all the great data back. The industry is trusting us. You know, the amount of inbound, Chris, that we get, we don't, all of our awareness has been earned. We don't do any digital marketing. It's all coming in, and our product is in, are in, actual projects that, people are going to use for years and years and years, hundreds of years to come. So
Right.
we've gotten over that first of a kind, section. Now, the second one, which our CEO talks about, is that economics and the scalable,
Yeah.
getting to the large commercial scale, going from 15,000 tons a year plant to 200,000 ton a year plant to 400,000 ton a year plant, and to make the economics work. So we're in that section. And unfortunately, a lot of folks get through the first of a kind section, but a lot of it is the economics. The economics just don't work. And that's where, unfortunately, the green premium, a lot of folks want to charge a green premium to help with the scale, the economics to work, but we realized we can't do that. So we've got to
Mhm.
create a process that's scalable, that doesn't charge a green premium, so it can help, again, reduce that 8% greenhouse gas emission, that mission, that mission that we all, come to every day and look at the wall, and, the reason why we sit here and do this work.
I love it. I had an attraction to your story in part because care about the environment, but also I'm on the board of an Indian denim company that has the world's most environmentally friendly denim processing
Oh,
uh,
wow, cool.
technology, and we're building like you're talking about. We're past the proof of concept stage, and now have actually created a retail brand as a visibility mechanism, and are having conversations with some of the big manufacturers globally, which it's fantastic.
Congratulations.
And interestingly, it also has a used denim integration loop, a water reuse loop, and a chemical containment loop that minimizes the environmental impact and exposure factor for the workers in the factories. But that part of what drew me to your story. Um, Thankfully, the denim space and apparel manufacturing, I mean, it's pretty capital intensive, but nothing like your industry. I mean, and you talked about it
These are
being
big
trillions of
numbers.
dollars,
Yeah,
yeah,
these are, yeah.
and you guys as a company have done well. You closed a C round, and collectively have had over 150 million in funding. So obviously, people believe in where this is going. So we're kind of early. We're getting, our listeners are getting an early view into what someday is going to be a massive organization making a meaningful difference in the world while being commercially viable and additive to an existing marketplace. That's fantastic. As a marketer, that has to be a thrill to put a dent in the universe like that. That's really fascinating. And so, s- just being very specific about the marketing, talk a little bit about what your marketing stack looks like. Because if you're not doing outbound, what how what do you what's the VP of marketing do if you're not doing outbound?
Everything, right? I mean, it's a definitely a small team. And just to go back on your earlier statement,
Yeah.
and one area I didn't, I'd be remiss to not mention, we have amazing investors, led by, Khosla Ventures and Tomasik, and they believe in the organization, they believe in the team, believe in Rangelium, our CEO, and so yes, they are the ones that are allowing us to continue on this mission and this vision, and so we're very blessed to have them and have their support.
Yeah.
So yeah, my marketing stack. I'm very lucky to have a comms agency. They're called Technica. They do a lot of our communication outreach. So um, getting us into stories, into the media, a lot of our press releases, a lot on LinkedIn, very heavy on our website, making sure that's optimized, trade shows and events, a lot of the just blocking and tackling. Again,
Yeah.
you'd be amazed at just how important the small things are. And it's
Yeah.
very important here. Again, it's credibility, credibility, credibility. Like, to me, if there's a broken link on our website, it's like that's a link that somebody who, wants to utilize our product in a project clicks on it and like, well, God, they can't get their
Right.
links right. How do I, so everything is reflective of what it is that we do. And again, I think we will probably, so this year, if not this year, the next year, do some digital marketing. But right now, the inbound, because again, we still have our small commercial plant. We've got more business than we can handle,
Right.
and you don't want to disappoint folks by
Sure.
marketing to them and then them requesting product and we don't have it.
Yeah.
We're not. We don't want to do that again. We don't want to disappoint. But there's a big education piece that we're working on. We've got some internal projects that we're working on that we'll utilize as a marketing vehicle as well. So yeah, it's a lot of the traditional things that we do. Thought leadership pieces. Again, a lot of articles in publications. We are every other month in the industry publications, making sure, and that's a big win for us because the industry publications, they're not going to publish or talk about, and again, not ads, articles.
Mhm.
um they're not going to publish about products that are not going to be a good fit for their industry and that aren't top tier. So that's a big win for us in order
Yeah.
to make sure that we're published on a regular cadence, and that's a big way just to keep that repetition and our brand and our solution top of mind.
Yeah. No, totally. Having been on the client side a couple times, uh, having grown up as an agency guy, it was astounding how much there is to do that agencies never participate in, and all the other needs that, whether it's supporting other departments or proposals. I imagine in your industry that there's a fair when a project is being developed, there's a lot of paperwork and whether RFPs or procurement processing, a lot of those things that I know in certain verticals, the marketing team supports in those. So there's a lot.
Presentations, yeah,
Right.
PowerPoints, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So for sure. Um, in your career, are there any people you'd like to call out for having been mentors or, given you particularly compelling advice that helped you along the way?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Yeah. I've amazing sales folks, Lisa Shelton, when I was at Danelec. Just a great, being in marketing, I'm more, kind of a marketing, more in the kind of sales execution is really where I've probably my strongest, and product as well. But working with the sales team, I love working with the sales team. I love working with the product group. It's kind of one of those, I call it the holy trinity or the trifecta. Product marketing and sales to me, those three departments have to be in line for
Yeah.
any organization I believe to be healthy.
Yeah.
And so sales folks that I've worked with and product people I've worked with have been, some of the biggest influencers on me. So, Paul Smith from Ergo Motion, fantastic. Ken Randall from my Westinghouse and Sharp days, fantastic. One gentleman, and I don't remember his name unfortunately, but there was uh, a general manager from a CompUSA store, or very early in my career. I'm dating myself. I was promotion supervisor at CompUSA, kind of the Best Buy of its time for
Sure.
computer products. And I was at a grand opening. Part of my job was supervising and putting the promotions together for the grand openings. And we one of the ads was wrong in order to, for that weekend for CompUSA. And the GM, he said, it's going to be okay. We just have to be the masters of our disaster. And that always stuck with me. It kind of, in so many ways, gives you not permission to fail, but to know that you will fail, and that's
Yeah.
okay. And that as long as you move forward and you figure out how to pivot and make it right, it's going to be okay. And I think all through my career, especially those early days, you're going to fail as a young person. You're going to make mistakes, and I think as even we get older, unfortunately, we try to fail less, which I think is a problem. I
Mm.
think we need to fail because that's the only way you build those muscles. So
Yeah.
I always think about what he said, and I got to look back on who that was. I'm sure if I think long and hard enough about it, it will. But my family, they're
Yeah.
great. Everybody's been so supportive of me too. So I think you meet mentors every day.
Yeah. No, I love those stories. Thank you for sharing that. Um, as you think of, like, one of the things I observe is that a lot of people, especially earlier in their career, like now, the young folks that are coming into marketing often avoid B2B marketing. And I feel like that's a miss in part because it's a category that I think will certainly always be there in some way, shape, or form. Um, and there's so much bad marketing in B2B that the ability to stand out is really there. I mean, honestly, there's bad marketing in B2C. So I guess I can just make generally there's a lot of bad marketing out there. So, you can still stand out. But I think in B2B, there's you pick up a trade magazine, although they're less common these days. You go to a trade website, for example, or a trade show, and there's a sea of sameness a lot of times. And there's what advice would you have for folks that are coming into the industry that, as you look to where we are now and where it's going?
Yeah, I think, and I don't know how you feel about it. I have this conversation quite a bit now, especially with the emergence of AI, which is just a fantastic tool. But what I do worry about, and I worry for the new crop coming through is, will they get those same will they get the same opportunities to make the mistakes? Will they will they get the same opportunities to kind of start at the ground floor and work their way up? Which um, I'm fearful that potentially AI will. I don't know how it will work out, but will optimize a lot of those entry level positions. So it'll be interesting to see where marketers come in
Mm.
at the actual kind of marketing stack, right?
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to start marketing in my career when you pretty much had to do everything. And
Right.
so you kind of learned how to do everything. Don't know that that's the right way or the wrong way, but I think folks, coming into marketing now, they're going to come at a different level, a different stack, because of the AI tools. So it will be interesting to see where they enter and where that experience leads them. I think we're going to see some really amazing and really different things for the future generations. But I would say that I'll just lean in again. This idea of switching industries, this idea of taking a B2C mindset into a B2B world,
Mhm.
it's fascinating. I
Yeah.
mean, I will say that I have conversations with folks here, and I know the reason I'm having these conversations because I'm from B2C. I don't
Mhm.
know that you would ever really think these things if you just cut your teeth in the cement and concrete industry. And again, not right or wrong, but
Yep.
it's just that change in mindset. So I'm a big proponent of folks, kind of going in between different industries to kind of to freshen things up. I think it's very I think it's important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I agree with you 100% on bringing a B2C mindset to the B2B world because we're marketing to humans. We're not marketing to
Stories, stories, stories,
right.
stories. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be relatable and build that trust and build community. Because, honestly, most buying cycles, especially in B2B, are looking for peers to have said, "Yes, I agree," or "This has been good for me," or "Here's what it does and doesn't do." Because there's no such thing as perfect.
Uh-huh.
So honestly, that transparency from a peer around what's good and what isn't, is super helpful. And I feel like when so much consumer marketing has this rosy outlook without the reality, and I think the ability to bring that storytelling and that reality, that authenticity to the table is really essential. And it just breaks through. And honestly, it's a lot more fun to do too. I
Yeah.
mean, if an ad looks like a spec sheet, devoid of any humanity, then you're really not doing marketing. You're literally just doing fact finding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. Um, the marketplace is changing rapidly. As you think about the year ahead for your plans, are there any things that are on your to-do list that you're super excited about that are kind of new and different, and that you're really excited to embrace?
Sure. I mean, I the whole AI integration into marketing is just fascinating for me, to see how I utilize that, optimizing our website for AEO and GEO. Just was on a call that this week on that, just to make sure, how do we change that up? How do we make sure that we are showing up on these platforms? So again, it's exciting, especially where I am in my career, to be able to work on this latest technology. And um, well, I'm really excited, every day in the future of Forterra. And I can't mention them right now, but in the coming months, we're going to have some amazing announcements, amazing partnerships, and projects that I'm just thrilled and excited to we'll be able to talk about. And again, we're building up that credibility, and it's exciting to watch, and it's been fascinating to watch kind of the value chain in the industry embrace us. So,
Nice.
yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, listeners, you have to stay tuned because more's coming and it's exciting
Yes, yes,
stuff.
it is.
So Sherry, you've had a really fantastic career and very diverse experiences, and are making the world a better place by helping us with our environment through one of the fundamental building blocks that we often take for granted. So thank you for your great work there. Hollywood just let us know they're going to do a biopic on you.
Of course, of course.
What's the name of the film, or who's gonna play you, or
Oh,
what's the plot or
Lord.
theme?
Well, it's a great question. I'm gonna use my Peloton username, Fancy Pants, will
I
be
love
the
it.
will be the title. Wow. Let's see. I'll do a theme. I'll just I think it'll be probably there's not one answer.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. That's fantastic. Yeah, and you could not be any more true in saying that, right? There
Yeah.
and if the answer was one thing today, tomorrow it'll be something different.
100%, my friend,
Yeah,
100%.
exactly. Well, Sherry, for those that wanna reach out and connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
LinkedIn's cool. I'm active on it. I manage our company, so I'm always knee deep in LinkedIn and love the platform, love the community. Thank goodness for it. So yeah, LinkedIn's is a great place to say hi.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll make sure that the link is in the comment section of the posting so people can find you. Sherry, it's been a joy. Thank you for all you've shared. Really, really appreciate the chance to poke into your mind. We're gonna have to have you back at some point
Oh, love to.
to hear the next round of
Yes.
what's coming and to hear about the next 5 plants. Um, and I imagine some might be international.
Oh, hopefully, yeah. Chris, thank you for the platform and thank you for the opportunity and allowing me to spend some time with you.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that, we'll conclude another episode of Beyond the Brief. Thanks all for listening in and stay tuned for another episode coming soon.